a couple companies. Palantir is in the news now because
That's what I was saying. Is doing
right, yeah,
networking.
and people are afraid that that company will collect too much information and that it'll be used against American citizens. You also mentioned DuPont, and DuPont, I think, bought Dow Chemical, and Dow Chemical did a horrible thing, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago in Bhopal, India. And so there are stocks that I own that I feel bad about owning because they have a dicey history. What do you do about changing the corporate culture of the stocks you own?
That's a good. So let me take it from two different directions. That's a very good question. So one thing, I don't have a problem that when we as a country have an issue, uh, let's say the COVID comes, or the some, or the financial meltdown, or all that, we have to help each other pull the thing up. But when we have this too big to fail, let's say you own Delta stock. When you own Delta stock, Rick, you are a shareholder. You are a part owner. If you have a little business and things don't work out, you reach out to your savings, you pull out your thing, you close the doors, or you suffer the pain. You take some hits. But that's not the case. If you're a Delta owner and you've sold your stocks, you were a participant, and you are a shareholder. Now, you and I, as citizens, we have to pay for Delta not to fail. So there's a fundamental capitalism problem. That means risk and return are not aligned, right? Now, the thing to do is we have allowed, and this may be a kind of a silly way of looking at it, maybe a naive way of looking at it, but I believe the foundation of filling the gap, as Mark put it, is not to be challenging the big, it's to build the base, to begin to realize that we are all entrepreneurs. We all have the ability to build, to create, to build better, and that's how you fill the gap, as opposed to pulling these guys down and fighting and getting in the street, because it doesn't work. They have too much power, too much money, too much control. Every congressman, I don't care who he is, has been paid for.
That makes a
If
lot of
you have
sense.
to pay $100 million to become a senator, somebody somebody is giving you that money, and I bet you owe them something.
Probably owe them something. And by the way, I said that when I brought you on, that I was going to introduce you to Dr. Sharif. We call him Doc and everything, but he's actually been doing some building in Bangladesh with his school. So, Doc, if you want to tell Sid about what you've got going on, because it sounds like y'all have some similar things going on, because I know that you've got this World Economic Talent Forum in Bangladesh, and you're also trying to get people engaged in entrepreneurship. So, Doc, tell us a little bit about what you've got going on so Sid can learn more about it.
Yeah, very interesting discussions, and I see that we can bring different cultures and impact in our discussions. First thing first, after long time, around 14, 15 years, I just come back Bangladesh, and I try to develop my research center through these business incubations and all of the things. But if you see the country like Bangladesh, we are not mature like California. We are not mature like Singapore. We are not even mature like Kuala Lumpur or even Dubai. So when I bring many innovations, research, uh, innovative idea, and all of the things, so every time I have to struggle with the people, every single time. It can be academicians, it can be defense, because defense has their university and all of the things in Bangladesh. It's government administrations, whatever it is. Like you have to run like and behind all of the peoples, and you have to connect all of the dots. This is very very difficult place, very difficult place, and your life will be miserably painful when people understand you are trying to make something new. But I am positive, and I'm trying to bring always the good people in my team. I'm very much hopeful, and I get a lot of support from Western world in terms of knowledge and resources. Many of the famous scientists even recently joined in our CEO training program, because we don't have good culture. Even in our media, we don't have good culture. So I'm trying to introduce the good cultures. When people understand the culture, then I believe that everything will be changed. So what naturally our people do, they do all of the social entrepreneurship. Dr. Mahmoud Yunus, he did microfinance. So all of the good things. But right now we are in competitive world because of internet. Everything is open. Let's say from Bangladesh, everybody can observe Pot TV. From India, everybody can observe these Silicon Valley activities and all of the things. But again, attitude is very important. Culture is very important. I'm trying to develop the culture and attitudes because we have a huge youth populations. Like we have around 171 million people. 57% population is actually youth, those who are under 30 years old. Unfortunately, this is the time we are actually wasting a lot of our talented and young people because of our political culture, because of our educational culture, and lack of our research and innovations and global help. So I request all of the global speakers, those who join this team, country like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, or Africa, you should not pay a lot of money because as a subsidy, as a investment or whatever it is. But I believe your experience, what you have, this is priceless for the community. Better you share your experience and your culture with this community. That will be very.
So, Dr. Sharif, let me say something. You can reach out to me. The Academy will provide you access. There would be expert circles. There would be conversations. It's about mindfulness
Yeah.
and entrepreneurship. So we have series, we have conversations, we bring people. There's experts that come in from all over the place. I would provide that to you, and you can use it with all the people there for free.
Okay, thank you. This is brilliant. So that is the things we call talent economy. So that is the things we develop AI. We call it Kokoro, like wisdom app. We need your wisdom to solve all of the complex problem. And I believe here those who join, like Sasha, Rick, Mark, Jatovi, and all of these speakers, that is one of the way you can contribute for human progressions. This is very tough, not impossible.
Just really quickly, Sid, along those same lines and everything, because we've had several conversations on this network. Rick has actually led some of the discussions, but how is your company dealing with AI, and are you investing in any AI companies, and what is your thoughts around AI?
I am. So let me tell you, for example, a couple of perspectives. I am on the board of a couple of companies that are on AI. Some have to do with what we call trustworthiness, that this thing doesn't go haywire and whatever. Most people use AI to increase their productivity. I do this, let me do it faster, let me do it better, whatever. I use it personally to dispute myself because I can write. I don't need anybody to write me an email. What I need is someone that if I have an idea, I can get it. I can see the other directions of it. But a lot of people are now using it to increase their productivity. Here's a scenario. Imagine we fast forward. This is a $30 trillion movement of economic value. 30 trillion every year by 2030. Every year there is $30 trillion of economic value because of AI and the productivity it creates. Now let me put that in context. That is almost twice as much as 1.45 billion people work in China for an entire year. That cannot be stopped. Okay, it's a little bit more than the size of the US GDP. It's 2 or 3 times, I think 2 times the size of the Canadian GDP. So it is massive. Now this cannot be stopped. All right. The thing is, imagine you had a way. See, I read 100 books. You may read 200 books in Life Live, or 300 books, or something. Imagine now I have the ability to have all of this stuff next to me, as opposed to thinking that this is bad. What is wrong with it? If I have this vast knowledge, But we are not ready from a people perspective to shift our evolution path from physical evolution to mental evolution. The next 100 years is about innovation, it's about creativity. And we are afraid that we lose our jobs and what's going to happen. And there is a truth to that. There's going to be loss of jobs, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But the question is, are we now focusing, like you read all the news, everything is negative? If you had a show that you would come on board and you would say everything is perfect in the world today, the birds are chirping, the kids are all fed, everything is great, nobody would watch your show. They are making this a much more negative because it takes government. Let's figure out how to use it. The education system has to change and a lot of stuff. Rick, please.
So all these analytics companies, Accenture, McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, say that AI has the potential to double the world's GDP in the next 20 years, and things are going to get crazy. And the rhythms of human life that we've been following for the past 10,000 years are going to get disrupted, and we're going to end up, having to more intimately join with our machinery to keep up. And
that's my point. The machinery can do a lot of the mundane stuff that taxes our brain. My point is that's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It may take 100 years or it may take 80 years. Either way, I'm dead by then. But it's going to take some time, and it's going to have that effect. The key is, what do we do about it today to evolve with it as opposed to fight it? And evolving with it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm sitting in my car, let's say Tesla car, driving on some road. This is driving it on its own, and I'm just playing with my Instagram, being an influencer. Now the shed is being built by some machine over there, and I'm sitting in something, and I'm being an influencer. That's not a life that I think is attractive or positive.
So one thing you can do is talk to AI. You can talk to Claude AI. You can talk to you don't keep your head in the sand. Go online, sign up. They have all these free services, and you can ask them questions. And it's crazy the answers you'll get back in a matter of seconds. They're really they seem really smart. They're not as smart as they seem, but you can see the path to them being really smart and powerful, and you need to know what's going on with them.
Just really quickly, and this is Sid. I was curious because I know that Sasha's here, and Sasha, one of his people, has been trying to figure out, and even Nick, who's one of the founders of the network, is in the background, and hopefully he'll be coming on shortly, or maybe he'll come back. He was in the background. I know he popped on, and now he's popped off, and everything like that. But what is it that how did you get on Fox and Newsmax? Because even he's been talking about he's actually in Budapest at a conference and everything like that, where he's meeting some of those folks. But and I know we have folks, including our Ukraine Russia show, that would love to be on those particular networks, no matter what you think of them. So I was just wondering, how did you go about getting on Newsmax and Fox?
They reached out to me. They reached out to me because of the article that I had in the Independent. Independent is the major magazine in UK. So I wrote an article about Elon Musk, and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, why do you say this? He's a great guy." I said, "No, I'm not saying this. This is, I think this looks like a villain." But I have over, I think, 150 articles I've written in Time, in Newsweek, in USA Today, and in Forbes, in a lot of different places. So you could say I have too much time on hand, or I'm too old and opinionated. But I tend to write books and write articles a lot, so I get on the radar somehow.
Yeah, that's how you got on the radar. Jacoby, who's here as well, is in the gaming space and the video gaming space. Do you have any of your investments? Because, like I said, I knew you've been involved in venture capital. I know he's trying to find some investors that have been involved in the video game space.
No, I haven't been in the gaming space. That's a very specialized with some of its own dynamics, because it deals with consumers. and the consumer market is an entirely different beast.
That makes a lot of
Question for, so right now, economic inequality is at very high levels.
Right.
Do you think that under AI can non-billionaires break through? And you know,
Is there something over 1,000% or 2,000% or 10,000%? Yes, yes, absolutely. But there is a key, and that is exactly the Anabasis Academy's mission. Because I believe we can, because it's in our genes to be able to do that. We are built to thrive, to build, to create. But we've been put in this buckets that, hey, you can only do this. And therefore now, oh, this AI is challenging what I can do this. No, we can do a lot more. We don't, we're not, see, I have a book called You Are Not Them. The title of the book is You're Not Them. The reason is you're not them. I'm not Elon. I'm not this. I'm not Jeff Bezos. I'm not. But I have the ability to create and exchange and build better. But I have to realize that I have that ability, and that's all in the mind. For example, Dr. Sharif said the people in Bangladesh. Yes, you're going to have pushbacks from the institutions, the defense, and all those guys because they're used to that, and it's a change for them. But those people, those individuals who want to create something better, they can, but they have to believe that they can. And if they want to believe that they can, we have to provoke them. We have to engage them. We have to have them see a vision that's better, that it's their vision and their uniqueness.
Hey, Sid, how important do you think it is for folks to get engaged in the investment market and all along those lines? Because, like I said, one of Sasha's other shows is Modern Investment. He just did it yesterday, and I know he made some great success with the NVIDIA. And it sounds like you've had some success with some of your various businesses as well and everything. So, how important do you think it is for the common man to get involved in financial planning or maybe even the stock market?
Yeah, so there's two things. When you say investment, there's multiple dimensions to it. So one is that I'm an individual. I have a job. I make some money. I keep some of it. I have disposable income. I save it. I buy a property or I invest in some stocks. And that's financial planning, if you would, as an individual. Then you have investments who are people that are hedge funds and so forth, that they play with big money and they make investments in big stocks or and things. And then you have people like me who are investors in startups. So we are a different animal, if you would. It's a very, very risky business, what I do. Now, the problem, let me look at it from a different perspective. From a financial perspective, if it's a personal thing, there are people who understand it begins with a mindset that I don't want to have everything now, because that if I look at my salary and I say I make X, and I say, if I put $100 aside, it's going to take me 272 years to get a home. So heck with it. Let me go have another beer. So that mindset, which is there's some level of truth to it today, right? There's some level of truth to it. I read statistics yesterday that they have the unemployment, and then they have something called U6, which is unemployment plus people who are given up on looking for a job.
Yeah, underemployed.
Yeah. So and then they have another one that's called true unemployment, and they include every person that makes less than $25,000 a year is also in that bucket. Everybody who doesn't have a job looking for a job, everybody who doesn't have a job has given up looking for a job, and everybody that makes less than $25,000. Astonishing number, 24%. 24%. If you take the 63% of the people who are in the labor pool today in the United States, that means somewhere around 50 million people would fall under that number. That is humongous. That's huge. That's concerning.
But isn't part of the problem, Sid, that a lot of people go to work just to go collect their paycheck and everything? There's been conversations on this network and other networks about this notion of a lot of people kind of just being cogs in the machine, and that's all they want to be is cogs in the machine.
They are quietly quitting. That's what they're called. Quietly quitting. They're there, but they ain't doing nothing. And again, because we've given up, this is again going back to the Academy's mission. If you go read the mission and why are we here, I believe that they have given up because they don't think that there is another road. They don't think that they feel themselves as a screw in a machine, as opposed to I have no control. This is so I do what I do. There is no hope. We've given up. We've given up, and that's what we should not do.
But isn't part of the problem, Sid, and maybe others will jump in on this conversation, is that the elite have taken over so much and everything? I just mentioned Jeff Bezos.
They have,
Whether
Mark, they have, but and we have. See, this is the thing. They have, but we are giving them permission to do so. You and I, because we limit ourselves and we box ourselves and we feel that we're incompetent and we can't do it. But that doesn't happen by going and walking on the street. It happens by us first believing that we have a choice. Believe that you do have a choice. You can create better. You're built to create better. And if you do that, if I do that, and if Rick does that, and if Doctor does that, we all do that. Guess what? We're now building something better. The reason is we don't feel important enough. We don't feel capable.
Yeah, but what do you say to those people, and I'm sure you've dealt with them as well, that are in the political class and everything like that? Because as a venture capitalist, I'm sure you deal with some of the political class. You just
I
kind
have
of
seen egos the size of Timbuktu, Markley. I see people that think that they're all that and a bag of chips. You are absolutely right. What do I tell them? Is hey, if we all of us begin to think that we have a choice, begin to imagine and create better, begin to say, how can I use this AI thing? I didn't have access to this information. Rick asked a good question. Can we use this? Absolutely. If I didn't have all of these access to all this education, all of these things, if I'm in Bangladesh or if I'm in Dubai or if I'm in Kenya, I have now access to be powerful, to be knowledgeable, to be able to create, to ignite my mind. I now have that ability. Now, if we ignore that ability, shame on us individually.
I
Yes.
want to invest in the future, and I find it very difficult. I read a lot of science fiction. Tovey he consumes a lot of science fiction. And we know in the future there will be lots of fighting over water, right? There's not going to be enough water already. There's not enough to go around. But if you try to invest in water, it's a crappy investment because the future never gets here. So how do you invest in the frickin' future?
Hey, Sid, before you answer that, if I can add to that, because I remember a movie that I watched a long time ago, and it was this notion of investing in sunlight. And it's kind of like that same notion of water and everything. It was a movie, and I'm not talking about electricity. I'm talking about literally you had to invest in order to have access to the sun and everything like that. So are we heading to those kind of dystopia kind of futures in your mind? And is that some of the things that you're writing about even with your institute? Because that is what some people are afraid of.
Let me just quickly say that every dystopia is an opportunity for somebody to make $1 trillion.
You're both absolutely correct. The thing is, Rick, if you go to Saudi Arabia, they are making water from the ocean. The technology is already there. The technology is already there. But as opposed to, you talked about the people in NATO, and they're putting 5% of of everybody's money to create defense. If we do that, and we're not about, hey, I'm the guy who's making X dollar, we could solve the water problem. It's not a problem.
Yeah. But one thing I just want to.
It's not a problem. The feeding business in Bangladesh, I know there's massive problems. The world can solve Bangladesh's problem in 2 weeks, but it doesn't.
Yeah, correct. Just one thing, because the Western world and all of the science fictions and all of the futurists always they discussing about water, sun, energies, digital currency, artificial intelligence, all of the big things. But somehow we do not trust about people. Mm-hmm. Human is most valuable things to invest. Let's say if you invest in capacity building, that is the most valuable thing right now. Let's say Silicon Valley, they invest a lot of innovations. Even US invests a lot of money for wire and all of the things. But example, in emerging economy, we have a lot of talent. If you focus on this human capital is the most beautiful currency in the world, most powerful currency in the world. So I request all of the investors and the peoples and all of the things, besides sharing your experience and all of the things, you should focus on the human capitals and human capital and its currency. This is
Sharif,
most.
the thing that you're mentioning is absolutely critical. But what I want to do is human capital is critical, but their effect begins in their mind, not in their physical capabilities. Okay, it affects in their mind of how do they see themselves, how do they see yeah, they should eat, I agree. They should have a healthcare system, I agree. But if people, like what Rick says, believe that, oh, vaccines are horrible and they're going to, so then they're not going to do that. So it begins in their mindset, in their ability that I am good. I can create more. I can be more. I don't have to eat off of Dr. Sharif's plate in order to feed myself. There is a better way for both of us to eat, right? So human capital, without people, nothing will happen.
But Sid, one of the biggest
Nothing.
investment,
Zero will
Sid,
happen.
one of the biggest investments, and I kind of alluded to it. You kind of teased me about it because I mentioned both of the wars, including the one that Sasha reports on every Tuesday and Friday and everything. But one of the biggest issues in the world is that we oftentimes don't get along with each other, and I'm just being honest and everything because there is a war kind of like mentality that exists out there, and a lot of times we are at war, whether it's Russia invading Ukraine, which was a very horrible act and everything, or whether it's Israel and Iran, or Israel and the various other Middle Eastern countries fighting each other, or whether it's some of the African nations fighting each other. I can think of like Eritrea and Ethiopia and even Sudan and some of its neighbors and everything like that. But what do you say to those people that when they look at the world, all they see is conflict?
Well, I'd say it is conflict. This is what they're saying is real. There's no argument that there's conflict. The question is, why is that conflict? I had a conversation with Marty Cooper. He's literally the inventor of cell phone. He's a 96-year-old man, very good friend of mine. And he asked me once, he said, Sid, what do you think all the people in the world have in common? So I thought, oh, maybe they all want to be happy. Maybe they all want to be satisfied. I said, no, they all think that they are right. They all think they're right. We actually had a session at the academy about this on the expert circles. But the problem is we all think we're right. So here's what we do. I don't listen to you. I'm trying to reply to you. So I'm not processing. So I don't listen to all the new information. I have this comfort zone that I live in, and this is good, and I'm comfortable with it. So I use historically pleasing information to me to judge you. And I am right before we even start the conflict. So now you extend that to America is right, Russia is right, Iran is right. Everybody thinks that they're right based on their own biases and views of the world. But it's about power. And the way to change, in my opinion, is one person at a time. You cannot change. You cannot change institutions that are built, religion institutions, financial institutions, political institutions that are the only way they make money is if there is conflict. If there is a trade, you sell high, I buy, I sell low. If there is no conflict, there is no brokerage fee in the middle. Yes, sir.
Do you spend much time worrying about uneven political leadership where the U.S., the people we've had in charge over the past 20, 30 years have been all over the place, each with their own strengths and weaknesses? Is that a problem for you, or you just work around it?
So here's the thing. I have learned that there's, when you drive on the freeway and somebody cuts you off and then you get all upset. Oh, that's Southern God, blah, blah, blah. The guy's gone. He didn't care. Those guys that come and go, they get paid from all sorts of, they cannot, if you have to spend $2 billion, $3 billion, listen to the number, $3 billion to get into the president's office. Somebody is giving you that money, right? You are there to accomplish some agenda. It's just not, it's impossible that you don't have an agenda. So this agendas come and go. This for the people, of the people is completely nonsense to me. What people? Can you get to be a president? Absolutely not. I can't get to be a president. It's not for the people, by the people. It's for a group that pay for it, and then we get them. So, is there a problem? Absolutely. Can I solve it? Not from where I sit. Can I solve it by trying to control the money? I probably can. Can I solve it if the people that are doing the voting and are getting into those positions are creators? They realize the differences. They're not as dumb as we are in following A or B. I mean, I see people following one individual. Doesn't matter if it's Trump or if it's Biden, if it's who. It doesn't matter. Everybody has all the problems. Everybody has some problems. But we just do this. I am one of these. And then I put this hat on or that hat on, and I do this or I do that. Well, we're both stupid. They're all they don't look at what is right and what is wrong. I am part of this or I am part of that. We have created a hero mentality. We pay $150 million to a guy who plays basketball, and then all the teachers are poor. But
Yeah, and those guys are actually underpaid compared to how much money the owners make. The Lakers are being sold for $10 billion.
I don't feel bad for somebody who's making $150
No,
million.
but still,
Rick, don't make me feel bad.
no, but still, it's the owners who are making
Yeah, the
billions.
owners are making the majority of the money. There's no doubt about that.
But you can't worry about other people making billions. You have to
No.
make your own freaking money.
That's right. So I'm not concerned about it. What I'm pointing out to is we are in the hero building business because we don't feel that we could be the hero. We feel somebody else has to. We feel powerless. And all I'm saying is we're not powerless. And it's not about getting in the street. It's about controlling our mindset. It's about looking at the world differently.
Speaking of that mindset, you mentioned you have this expert circle and everything that works with you and all along those lines. So if you can reveal some of those, you mentioned the guy that's 96, that's the cell phone creator. Sure. Who are some of the other experts that you are directly working with?
Sure. There is people that have there's a guy Amir, he runs a $600 million company. There's Dr. Richard Sudek is the head of angel investment capital across the US. There is a lot of people. And these are people, by the way we operate at the Academy is on a pay it forward basis. That is, there are people who believe in this mission and they're paying others, as I said to Dr. Sharif, that we're going to give you access. There are people who believe in what I'm saying and they are sponsoring those people. They say, I'm going to pay for those people. Let this begin. Let this begin. Let us give back. There's not a problem, and we've got to get away from these. When you mentioned the experts, we don't talk about when Marty comes in or Richard comes in or anybody. We don't talk about how great you are. We don't talk about what you have accomplished. We don't talk about I did this company and I did this thing. It doesn't matter what you did. What matters is how you thought and what you did, and what matters is what's ahead, not what's behind. What matters is what others would do and what their capabilities are, not motivating them with bullshit things that, look, I'm this great guy. So what?
But are you willing to go into what some people would consider risky businesses? Like you just said yourself that you don't have any background in video games. And I know for a fact that he's trying to create a youth center here in North Carolina that Jacoby might be interested
in my business. 1 out of 25 make it. The rest don't make it. I am already in the riskiest business that you could possibly imagine.
So I guess my question is, with somebody like I have friends that are filmmakers, I have Jacoby that's in the gaming space. If they wanted to present a proposal to you, how would that work, or how would they get involved?
Here's the thing. People think entrepreneurs are risk takers. Entrepreneurs are risk navigators. They're not risk takers. Risk takers are in Las Vegas. You throw something out and let's see what happens. I don't know anything about the gaming business, so I can't help Jacoby. Right? If I can't help him, I am useless to him. We can't build something together. The reason I say I don't know anything about that business is because I can't help him. But if there is a different business, it's a B2B, it's something that I know something about, of course I'll look at it because I think I can contribute something. People who are looking for making a business, they think that all they need is the money. Investors like me, we make investments in early stage, it's not about the money. Because entrepreneurs think, if I had the money, I could do all of this stuff. Look, I'm just the greatest thing. 9 out of 10, they waste the money. 9
So
out of 10, they
you
waste
teach,
the money.
you teach at USC, right?
I do. Yes, I teach both in engineering school and in business school.
So that neighborhood is one of the craziest neighborhoods in LA because of the extreme wealth and the number of poor. It's a very rich school in a not rich neighborhood right up against downtown, which has money coming. So what's it like is USC keeping up with the future? And how is it going to transform that part of LA?
So, if you're talking about local economic, they do have some initiatives. By the way, I went to USC 40 years ago myself, and I lived in Watts. So at night, I remember one night I was walking back from a library, going back home, and then they started shooting around me, and then I started running, and then the police came with helicopters. I said, "Why are you running?" I said, "Man, they're shooting all over the place. What, you want me to stand in the middle of the street?" So it is much better than it used to be. There are programs and so forth. Now you asked the key question: are they keeping up? Are they keeping up with technology, with changing the way we teach, with changing the no? None of these schools are. And this is again, I'm going back to the academy's point. I believe we're trying to pour water in people's mind like a vase, and that may have been good 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago to tell you, hey, here's how you do this piece, let me show you, and then you do this, right? But that's not the way of the future. The way of the future is I've got to ignite your brain to be that, to create the fire. That's a different way of looking at the world and teaching than the way we teach today.
And that's part of what the network has been trying to do here as well, and everything. That's why we have the investment show. Sasha and Jacoby, y'all have been quiet. I've been leading the conversation, as has definitely Rick and everything. But any thoughts about what Sid is saying?
I think Jacoby was trying to say something, and we cut him off a few times, and my apologies.
Oh, it's no problem at all. The last piece that you said about the way that you're talking about igniting the mind, essentially that's so Mark has it somewhat what I'm doing. Yes, I'm in the gaming space. However, what the gaming space is exactly what you said, trying to ignite the brain to get people to do different things. Because what I'm exactly doing is trying to reinvigorate the community in this area in a different light. Instead of, hey, I've got to tell you what to do. No, I'm going to play into roughly about 80% of the population games. And it's only growing. Just like AI is a behemoth. Gaming is actually a bigger behemoth than actually AI. Gaming is controlled every facet of our society for a little while now. Everything is gamified. So what I'm doing is, hey, I'm going to give you the opportunity to come play at this facility for free. But you just have to join a community organization to improve yourself, be it the Police Athletic League, which deals with at-risk youth that takes them on different camping trips, basketball organizations and stuff like that, so they can learn a different way to relate to the police. The Young Fire Marshals program, the Mentor-Mentee program. So you jump into these organizations. I'm just giving you the opportunity to, hey, you like gaming, just do this and you can play all day you want to for free. And while they're there, again, it's a shell game, because it's about, as you said, reinvigorating the mind to teach them in a different way, because I can tell them to learn all day, pouring that water into that vase. There's a hole in that vase now. There's
plenty of hole in the vase.
And so
there was a study that at Harvard, the people that went through the last two years or 3 years, or I don't remember the exact dates, but some of these people who have graduated this year have not read a book in the entire year 2 or 3.
Yep. It's because those kids are the kids that we're trying to reach today, as you know, I'm experiencing now. They don't want to be told anything. It's a 5 seconds of fame.
And if AI, I can get a summary of something, and it gives me enough so that I can check mark some paper. I don't
Exactly.
need to understand. I just need to memorize.
Exactly.
That's fun.
So with this facility, again, you get I'm invigorating to, hey, look, this is what you want to do. Here's a way you can do it for free. You don't have to pay money. So they're doing that. They'll get inside. And while they're inside, it again becomes that shell game. You're sitting here playing video games, but right beside you, I've got a professor teaching his class of 26 students about how to design a video game, how to code this, how to understand AI, how to draw and use your graphics. So you sitting here playing this video game, because we're all nosy at even the kitchen table or the lunch table, we hear what's going on, and I'm curious now. So that's the way I'm utilizing this whole space to reinvigorate the idea about, hey, look, come play for free. But while you're there, you're hearing and you're learning on your own time, because now I'm curious because, hey, I'm doing something fun. I'm safe. I've got food. I don't have to worry about a thing. I can be here all day. Don't have to worry about money. But what are they talking about? So that's what essentially the whole
Got
place.
it. Got
Yeah.
it.
So it's a whole
To Toby, it sounds like there's something y'all might be interested in. Just really quickly, to Toby and Sid, that doesn't sound like that's all that new with the AI and everything. Because if you were describing what that is and people not reading and basically getting a summary and everything like that, I went to school in the 80s and I had friends that went to school in the 70s. They used to call those Cliff Notes. So a lot of people, we've been doing this for a while. This whole note.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes and stuff. Yeah, but what this is different. This is an experience, because right now people want experiences and people live.
I have some final comments for you. Like, as you said about video games, I'm very much interested. And beside that, country like Bangladesh, India, we have grassroots level communities. Their income level is very low. So as you are expert of AI, right? You have expert of AI and something. If let's say our people, grassroots level community, they can train through one platform, and then they can increase income, maybe daily $20. I don't know, $100. I don't know. Maybe this will be helpful for this grassroots level community, and we have millions of people.
Here's actually, because this was one of the pieces that, coming up with this whole idea and setting up the whole plan around it. Here's actually a better routine or a better setup that could work even more so for Bangladesh, because honestly, South Korea rebuilt their whole economy. Well, when they had built a lot of their economy off of gaming. That's where a lot of the technology started coming out of in terms of esports and so on and so forth. But what I started doing, and this, because we have a poverty level here that's around the facility, and actually the individuals that I'm trying to reach, not everybody's going to code. Throwing everybody into a box saying, hey, everybody's going to code, everybody's going to do this, will not work. So the idea, we're going to have in the facility as it's built, because again, these kids are going to have opportunities. What we're going to do is, hey, on this tetherboard, we're looking for individuals in the Durham Tech or the technical community colleges here to go inside the actual Urban Ministries, which is a poverty company, or a company that deals with impoverished individuals. Go talk with those individuals. Let's create stories based on their lives and talk about what they're doing. Create an app. Not having the individuals in there create that, but the individuals are creating a partnership to be able to tell their story, because a lot of people in poverty just need somebody to talk to. So as they tell their story, we create a game based around those stories, or an app based around those stories. And then we put those apps on Google App Store, all the other places. Then we take that money based off of that game or based off of that app, share it back with the individuals who shared the stories. This begins to create a community atmosphere, actually even in that poverty area, where they can then say, okay, I want to share. I've got something to share as a story. And then so now people begin to express themselves in a different way. So not only am I empowering the people who want to code, who who want to create and design, I'm also empowering the people that, hey, I don't have a story to tell and I can't create a story, but I can actually meet an individual who may be in poverty, create a connection there. So therefore, there's not that stigma. No, there becomes a relationship between that community who's poor and struggling, as well as a very well-off community. So now there's a bridge that is built rather than a barrier that is there, which is a problem right now.
Guys, I'm so sorry, but I've got to leave.
No,
I
really,
have
we're
another-
going to wrap up everything really quickly.
It was a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to be with you all.
It's a
Just
very
really quickly,
interesting
if you
discussion,
want to tell
Mark.
folks how they
And
can reach you really quickly, Sid. So if you just want to tell folks how they can reach you really quickly, they would appreciate that as well.
I'm sorry, what was that?
How they can reach you. Tell folks how they can reach you.
My first name and my last name is my email, and they can go to anabasisacademy.org. They can find me there, or mohaseb.com, and if they put in my name, they'll probably see hundreds of videos and articles and stuff like that, and I'll be delighted to hear from them.
Sounds good and everything. We did have Charlie Burnett. I know there's a Charlie Burnett that's a filmmaker, and he actually said humans are naturally lazy and will find a quick and easy option, learn nothing that way. So he was actually saying that we need to do more of what
Take
you
care.
were saying and actually be more grounded in learning reality and getting more kind of things where we're actually developing and learning from each other. So on that note, we're going to get on out of here and everything like that. It's been fun. I was hoping that you and him would connect because it sounds like you'll have some similar kind of goals and all along those lines. So I'm going to get on out of here, and we'll be back with World Edition tomorrow as well.